What's purity? Purity means there's an integrity. The system is in integrity. That integrity is literal. The spine is optimized, the energy circulates properly, the person is properly guided, has a sense of who she is, what her function is, why she's here, whom she should partner up with, and she knows how to cultivate her own energy. So that's pure, meaning she doesn't have to pervert herself to suck. That's my definition of pure. It just means that the nervous system is integral. It doesn't leak. If this nervous system leaks, then you need to compensate and go grab energy wherever you can. If your nervous system is in integrity and the energy can circulate, then you can cultivate your energy. But more importantly, you know who you are, where you are, what you're doing, what's your function, and you will not allow anything to corrupt as a woman, your land. That means I will not going to let just anybody in, because I can tell if it works or doesn't work. Because I'm looking for one specific key to unlock my sexual power so that I can take my sexual energy to the next level and become a full-fledged creatrix, if I can call it like this. So I can tell, if I know who I am, I know my strength, well, that's not going to work. Especially a woman, that's not going to work. If the woman is now, there's a leakage, she's not looking for the key, she's looking for something to suck. That'll work for the next hour. That'll work for a couple of weeks. That'll work for a month. Her mindset doesn't think at all in the same way. I knew this girl, this is another story to give you a sense of things, and she was, I don't know, let's say at the time she was, I don't know, let's say 35 or something. And we had multiple conversations, and she had a particular setup, I don't think it's important. And she was a businesswoman. Should I say she was a businesswoman? Something like it. She was an entrepreneur. And she had a partnership with a man, and that man was like, she had a hard time with him. And she couldn't hold her position because the whole relationship was based on leakage and sucking off one another and these like kind of like attached like kind of relations. So she didn't know she wanted to officialize something, or I don't remember. She had to make a certain kind of statement. She didn't have it in her. She didn't have that, right? And she told me that because we were having conversations about women sucking and using men's energy, and so I was telling her this, and she's like, and she looked at me, and her face kind of like changed. She said, and then she said, "You know this guy?" I'm not going to say his name. I'm like, "Yeah, this guy," because she knew a guy who was a professional MMA fighter. If I would say his name, some of you who know anything about MMA would know, and not the recent generation, the earlier wave. If I would say, a bunch of you would know. It doesn't matter who that dude is. And she says, yeah, I went, I had sex with him and sucked him off and swallowed him so that I can have the energy to go confront the boss. And she knew that. So because I was saying this out loud. And then when I said that, I put the words, and she says, yeah, that's exactly what I did. She was conscious of it. Because we had that kind of relationship. She was a smart girl. She's still alive. She is a smart girl. And she said, yeah, so I sucked him off and took him. So when I went in front of the guy, I felt, well, imagine MMA in me. And I laid it down. I said what I wanted to say. I'm like, okay, so this is what I mean. When your nervous system is not in integrity and there's leakages, do you think she's looking for the key that's going to activate her womb potential? No, she's a hustler, and she's looking for a strategy. She wants to survive. And now she's in a relationship with the business partner. It's a mess. It's a mess because she's not in integrity. If she was in integrity, her nervous system was in integrity, she wouldn't ever engage in a space that's not clean. It's always like, how am I going to screw you over? And now she was caught in a bind and she felt overpowered. So she needed to go suck from somebody, some clown who just wants to come. She took all his energy, literally swallowed it. So it's food. She eats him. It's literal. She ate him. That's not just the fucking where the energy is there. I'm talking about she swallowed him. And I'm not saying she did a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just saying this is the mechanics of it. So she swallowed his energy. She's literally swallowed little versions of him. Then she digests that shit. I don't know if it's a good digestion or indigestion, but one thing is for sure. And she told me, now I could feel him in me. Now, if you hang out with silly ass girls, they don't know this stuff. If you deal with women with more experience or more attuned to this, they can tell you this. They may not want to tell you that, but if they trust you and they feel confident and you push a little bit, or they're at ease with the subject, they'll tell you this. He was in me. And then she stood up to that dude and held her ground. It's not her who held the ground. It's the MMA dude that she swallowed that held the ground for her. So you understand? So it sounds negative. It's not, but it's the truth. So she used him to access his power to hustle another guy. So at the end of the day, here's what she did. She took MMA and faced him off with that dude, the business dude. And MMA in her had a fight with that dude, and MMA dude beat that motherfucker. At least in that round, because the story didn't end right there. But for that round, she was able to hold it down. Now the story continues, and eventually MMA kind of fades away as she shits it out. It leaves its remnants and whatnot, but the power oozes. It's like a drug. It's literally like a drug. So if we talk about purity, purity is not, for me, purity means there's an integrity. I know who I am, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm supposed to do, and therefore I will not compromise my energetic system for anything or anyone that has nothing to do with me. And more importantly, I don't need to. Because it's very easy to judge and get into this like spiritual bullshit jargon. Oh my God, now you're like dirtying yourself. It's like, nah, when you're a junkie, you need to be a junkie. People who eat, let's say, eat sugar because they have to eat sugar. People who sleep around, they sleep around because they have to sleep around. People who smoke cigarettes because they have to smoke cigarettes. At the surface, the world of basic don't do says, well, you could just stop. Yeah, but at a deeper level, the person is doing what she has to do or he has to do in order to survive. So purity is a system that is strong and healthy. Sluttery is the opposite. It's a leaking system that seeks to compensate by pulling and sucking towards itself, which gives a sense of fullness for a moment. Like when you're thirsty and you drink Coke, right? For a minute, maybe if you drink enough, you feel satiated. But 6 minutes from after that, you're like more thirsty. It's the same. So that's how I define purity in this context.